prophetic,
family,
evolution,
respect. I begin and end every class, every semester with the fact that there are two types of people here at LaSalle. There are older adults like me and younger adults like you. And as long as we respect each other, that the system not only works, but it's what St. LaSalle wanted us to do.
The Christian Brothers, the original stewards of the Lasallian tradition since the university's founding in 1863. While a considerable number of lay partners have entered LaSalle's ranks over the years, the brothers remain integral to the expression of our Lasallian Charism, and their dynamic presence and steadfast commitment to their vocation propel our campus forward. This is their story.
Versus our founder. He really stands out. Is he better than Loyola? No. Is he better than Vincent and Augustine? No. But he was like a one-man Department of Education in his day, in his time in France. He raised teaching and teacher to the status of a vocation, of an important mission in life, much less the church. He is the patron saint of all teachers. Loyola, for all the acclaim we can give him, he's not the patron saint of teachers. Our man has been chosen that, a great, great title.
The brothers who are kind of at the front end of this tradition are not ordained. They are members of a religious community, yes, but they are not clerics. And there is kind of an egalitarian streak in the whole Lasallian tradition that makes it different from what the Jesuits and the Augustinians do. Even though many of them, but they're not exclusively teaching orders, they do other stuff. And the brothers, generally speaking, are in education, and almost all the brothers have taught at some time or another, even if they've gone into administration. So, but it's the egalitarian quality of things that, the form of address in the community is brother. That's a term of equality.
We are all called to be models of professionalism and of personalism and of standing up for values. Values mean that you listen to other people, you respect other people. We used to say 2 topics you can't talk about are religion and politics. I think you can talk about religion now, but you sure can't talk about politics. You have to treat other people fairly. You have to treat other people. I remember telling one of our assistant coaches once, who's now a head coach at a university in Connecticut, he said, how do we treat? I said, listen, you treat people fairly, not equally. That means if I have a student who needs extra help, I give him or her the extra help. I go out of my way, okay? It doesn't make any difference to their background, but I do that because I think that's what we are called to do. Everybody has a vocation. The word is calling, all right? And that doesn't mean, I gotta become a priest or nothing. What it does mean is that we are called to be Lasallians. We're called to model the principle of fairness and of kindness and principles which many people believe are beginning to go awry in our current situation.
There are a good number of faculty members for whom teaching is more than a job, and they exemplify, I think, the kind of commitment that is part of the Lasallian tradition. And the students, my thinking probably would be different from a lot of people. I don't think the students would naturally think of the teacher-student relationship. They probably think more of phrases like community, social justice, service, All those things are an important outgrowth of, or the way the tradition gets lived out. But at the heart of it, it's about education.
In my own experience of the Jesuit education, which I enjoyed Boston College very much for 2 degrees, but it was far more paternalistic. It was like, Father will do this for you. And the sense of brotherhood, and I think by extension brotherhood and sisterhood, so what I call siblinghood, I think is much more intense in a Lasallian education, because it's really about saying we're all in this together, and teacher or student, our common goal is to try to make the world a better place by making better people and encouraging people to be the best they can be. And so what you try to do is to, in some way, attune the talents of the people that are in front of you to find out, what am I good at and what can I contribute to the world around me? And I think that's very much an emphasis on trying to see each person in a unique style and in a unique way, and to give them room to be themselves.
So what we are trying to do is transform the lives of the individuals entrusted to our care. That's very important to us, that we are trying to better them in all ways, not just simply sort of opening the tank up and filling them up with knowledge and so on. But it really is very transformational, that we're trying to transform the lives of people, that they're coming out of a maybe not always a bad situation, but we are certainly one where they are in a bad situation, to improve that. And then when we are teaching people who are coming from better situations, I think then the goal is to raise them up, to make them sensitive to the plight of other people around them in their contemporary society.
My first experience with Lasalle was through my older brother. My brother, Dick, was graduated from West Catholic, and because of some illness in my family, he didn't do real well. Then he went into the Army. He got out of the Army, and this school was bursting at its seams, and it took the parish priest who went here for a little bit to exercise some pull to get my brother in. Salle gave my brother a second chance, and he used it well. He went on from here to Georgetown Law School and turned out to be pretty well. My other brother, Joe, was a couple years behind him. Joe worked his butt off to get through Lasalle, got a good education, became a pretty good manager with IBM. So this is close to my heart, that Lasalle helped my brothers. And so when I think of Lasallian, I think of second chances.
St. Lasalle and his mission worked because of personal attention to students. Personal attention. You can't substitute anything you can't substitute personal attention for anything else. It works. That's why it's going to get us through the COVID thing, because of the teachers and their dedication through working off camera working through screens and Zoom sessions and everything. As long as they hold on to that personal attention concept that the founder personifies, that'll work.
For freshman orientation, when they had it during the summer. And one of the things I'd say to the parents was this, that if you look around this place, it resonates with personal care. I mean, you look at the classrooms around the side, you can't squeeze more than 30 people into them. That's saying something. That immediately says, we're not going by numbers. We're going by, these 30 students will be in my class, and I'm going to care for them. And I'm going to be responsible for them. And they're going to be responsible. I have to be responsible to them. So it sets up an entirely different relationship.
We are called to be people who bring the kind of Lasallian attention to relationships to, you know, to everything that we do. I mean, there is a quality of, you know, going back. This is it's teaching, yes, but it's an egalitarian relationship. There's a way in which Lasallians have been treated in their class, hopefully in their classrooms, maybe not 100% of the time, but hopefully consistently, that is respectful, that is, you know, allows for and fosters the dignity of all the people involved. And I think that that's the fundamental thing a Lasallian is called to do, is to bring those kinds of things to all kinds of relationships, informed by competence. I mean, you know, the whole Lasallian thing, because I think of it as an educational tradition, the competence of the Lasallian person is important. I mean, you don't just get there and be a nice guy or a nice woman who makes people feel good in a touchy-feely way. It's something that is built on competence, but is infused with respect.
Oh. And the other thing about Lasallian education is, and I'll come back to this and some other issues too, is the ability to adapt, and the ability, where possible, to help people who have no other option. I've worked in 4 different high schools. Some of them were diocesan, some of them were prep schools, but one school that always stands out in my mind is Hudson Catholic in Jersey City, because those students do not or did not have a lot of options. Now, obviously, people have lots of options these days, but I think the brothers have been able to adapt. Frank LaSalle did that, for example. For instance, he opened a school for sailors in Marseille because he saw that need. So while other people see needs too, I think that we, I'm not going to say go a little further, but I think our charism is to play more to the middle.
De La Salle stepped into this world of conducting schools and then founding a community of brothers, because he discerned that it was necessary to have a community of competent teachers to conduct quality schools in service to children, and at that time, boys from income-poor and working-class backgrounds. That in that story, what De La Salle is doing is he is responding to the urgent educational and spiritual needs of his times, in his times. That has remained a driving force for the brothers and the Lasallian world over the course of these 340 years.
It's really not a tradition that is educating people it's not banging people over the head that we're teaching the Catholic Catechism. It's really fundamentally grounded in human values. And in human values that really, I believe, do apply across cultures. When I was really a young brother, there was another brother who said, you know, if you think about the words human, Christian, and Catholic, if you don't start with the human, you don't ever get to the other two. You know, so you have to have, at the base, everything has to be built on a strong human foundation of relationships, respect, appreciation for the capacity of the other to grow. And I think that's what makes Lasallian traditions stick where they are.
I think it's something that's tried and true, right? And part of the tried and true was, you know, the essential impulse for LaSalle and the early brothers was let's work in elementary education where, kids had no opportunities at all to get any kind of learning, and to provide them with that. And as the early community evolved, it began to do innovative things that went beyond that, because they began to recognize, well, there's a need to do this over here, and let's try it. And let's need to do that over there, and let's try it. So there's always been this openness to say, we have a basic mission, but we're always open to innovation and to new movement. So if you look at the whole sweep of the 350 years or so, there's always this trying something new. Now, sometimes it was forced on people. So, for example, in the early 20th century, when France took this very anti-religious turn, and France had 14,000 brothers in it at the time, and most of them left the country because they couldn't function anymore. The schools were shut down, or the schools were taken over by the government. They weren't rehired as teachers. They had to find something to do. Well, what they found to do was to go around the world as missionaries. And they found that the need was there in places beyond France, which was an eye-opener for the French, I think. But it was one of those situations where I think what they learned was we can apply our willingness to serve and our commitment to education to other cultures. And probably that's the venue that keeps Lasallian education alive, is it's always looking for something to do that's new and effective and innovative in the world we find ourselves in today.
One of the things that people told me 50 years ago about the brothers is they don't push themselves. They don't publicize themselves. All right? They don't go out and put up all these huge billboards announcing what the Christian Brothers have done. I think we should do more of that. I think there's a middle ground. I think we're beginning to do that. But we're basically a fairly humble group of people whose passion in life is to be of service.